In the 2007 edition of Grand Touring 3, five-time champ Pete Peterson took the lead from pole sitter John Black, and behind them, Wolfgang Maki and Larry Hansen settled into a great battle for third. But Peterson and Black soon collided in turn 5, and after dropping back to 6, Peterson mounted a stunning charge through the field, and all with serious brake issues to boot. And on lap 6, he amazingly slipped by Mike CYPHERT for the lead. Meanwhile, Tom Thrash was on a tear of his own, working his way to third. But at the line, it was Pete Peterson after a wild ride, and with his 6th national championship, he proved the adage, brakes just slow you down. This year, GT3 has had a massaging of the rules. The more potent 2.4-liter engine cars carry more weight, the smaller displacement run lighter. A guy who believes in the lighter concept is Wolfgang Maki. He's running a 1.6-liter engine in his Toyota this year, and who can argue with success? 4 starts, 4 wins, 3 poles, and maybe this year, gold. Pete Peterson, though, has won 6 golds. He's opted to go the other route, 2.4 liters. But he has a brand new chassis underneath the skin of that Toyota Celica. He's confident that'll get the job done in the twisty bits. Can he get number 7? We're going to find out shortly. And in terms of track time, John Black may have the answer here. This is the 3rd different class he's running. In fact, this car, this Nissan, the same one he ran in GT2, just carrying more weight and a smaller restrictor. He too would like to repeat a gold that he earned in Spec Racer Ford in 03.
Greg, with the new rules package, everyone is trying to figure out what is the best combination here at Heartland Park. Mike CYPHERT is one of those guys who's been scratching his head. In his Toyota, he has the smaller motor with the bigger carburetors. This 2-time national champion has never won here at Heartland Park. Could this be the year? Steve Spires campaigns this Nissan. It's his 8th visit to the Runoffs. Previously campaigned this car in GT4. He switched to fuel injection. He's got 2 track records this year. He's narrowly missed out on the podium, finished 4th here in 07. This guy, Rob Wilcocky, well, he's undefeated this year with 6 victories. But in 14 visits to the Runoffs, he's never seen that podium finish. Could this be his year?
After a full season of intense competition in the 9 divisions made up of hundreds of regions that make up the Sports Car Club of America, every year it all comes down to one race to determine the national championships. This year in 25 different classes. Welcome to Heartland Park, Topeka, Day 2 of the 2008 SCCA National Championship Runoffs. We started off with Touring 3. Grand Touring 3 as it's called. Became a class in 1980. It has its roots in much further back classes. Tremendous history. An absolutely glorious morning here on this beautiful second day here at Heartland Park, Topeka. And Calvin Fish, speaking about Heartland Park, tell us a little bit about this track.
Well, Heartland Park Raceway, Greg, certainly has a split personality. Some very fast stuff here and over on the backside as well. But then, of course, we have a massive corner, so it's going to be a real test for those drivers as to which engine and weight combination they pick to be effective around this whole racetrack.
The touring category is a very intense class and a very intense category. Tell us about GT3.
Well, GT3 is the 3rd fastest category of the GT classes. Purpose-built, highly modified silhouettes, tire choices open, and lots of different engine and weight combinations out there today.
Well, we've always got some great stories down in the pre-grid. Justin Bell, what's happening?
Well, thank you very much. Well, qualifying 8th in his number 8. Jeff Fleming is here in his really great looking Nissan. Now, Jeff got into racing driving a Legends car because he said he found out anyone could do it. And then he moved into the SCCA, and here, 3 runoffs later, he's hoping to improve on his 6th place finish last year. Biz, what have you got?
You might be wondering why Jim Valdez is running a sports sedan in a class that's full of really sports cars. He's definitely at a disadvantage, but he's been running this car since 2001. He says it's like coming to the track with a good friend every weekend. Now, he says the only advantage he has is in the slow corners. Unfortunately, here at Heartland Park, there aren't too many of those. Guys?
All right, Jim Valdez, obviously in that BMW and known for its great handling, so we'll see what he can pull off as this race unfolds. And we are getting close to the green flag for our first national championship to be decided of this second day. 25 total, and you'll be able to watch all of it right here on Speed. We'll be right back to Heartland Park, Topeka. Welcome back to Heartland Park, Topeka, as we set off on this second day of the 2008 SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Today, it is GT3, which will be kicking it off. And boy, I'll tell you what, there's some great history in this class going back to the days of D production and B and C sedan. And these cars have just evolved over the years. The field is out on its pace lap. Let's take a look at that starting lineup. And really, Cal, the story there might be, first of all, that pole sitter, that blue and red number 17.
Well, John Black is over a second clear of the field here today, but look for defending champ Pete Peterson. He's got a brand new race car. He's been pretty coy all weekend long. He hasn't shown tremendous speed, but don't count out the defending champion here today.
Yeah, this field is also chock full of multiple division champs over the course of the years. The cream of the crop has certainly shown up here in Heartland Park, Topeka for this race, and it will be an 18-lap race, as all of our national championship battles are here at Heartland Park, Topeka, in its third year to this great facility, and looking forward to getting underway. We do have an in-car shot for you, some great onboard action, and it will come from 8th on the grid in the number 8. That's Jeff Fleming. That's the Interstate Wire Company Nissan 350Z. So Fleming looking to give us some good looks here. Had a good season, ended up second in the Southwestern Division, and his best finish here at the Runoffs, by the way, was the 6th last year in this very class. So looking forward to some good stuff. Let's get back down to Justin Bell. Any last-minute developments?
Well, you know, John Black was certainly trying to do a Michael Phipps on us, I think, and take all the golds on offer, but he didn't. The first race in his Spec Racer Ford, he DNF'd, and then the second race, he got second place, and now he's out again. I know he is definitely hoping for that gold medal from pole position. So, you know, I followed him throughout this Runoffs this year, and he's definitely a man to watch.
You know, someone you might want to keep an eye on is Milton Grant. He's the Midwest Division champion, had a lot of good races this year, very strong car. Now, hey, they missed the first qualifying session. They've been trying to play catch-up ever since. He's qualified 6th, and he says he's left some time out on the track. See if he can come through to a podium.
Well, that would be good for him indeed, Biz. This is his 29th runoff, and he's never got that podium. He's been 4th a few times, just hasn't ever quite crack that medal stand, and he would surely love to do it. He is a perennial front runner in division, and it'll be great to see what he can put together here. Runs out of the Midwest Division, as you said, so got some awfully good talent here. And Black, remember, Spec Racer Ford, if you were watching, folks, he got the squeeze as we go on board once again with Jeff Fleming. Squeezed the radiator grill on the top of some contact and had to park it from overheating. Was on pole in GT2, Cal, but running that GT3 car in GT2, trying to keep up with that power, he just ran the tires off it. I would think he'd be a little bit better placed in this one to maybe be able to put this together.
I think he should be in good shape, and you see the drivers right now just trying to generate a little bit of tire temperature. This is the first race of the day, so the track temps aren't up yet, so it may take these guys a couple of laps to get full grip from their race car.
And it's a beautiful morning, and it is early, so it's crisp and cool, but clear skies as we take a look from the back of Fleming's car. As we bring him up, there he is, and he's going to give us the shots. Watch for the green flag up front. The pace car is in, and there it flies. We are racing at Topeka. Boy, Black got a great jump, Cal.
He really did. He left Spires for dead there, so he certainly has the horsepower down this straightaway. Here we're right in the middle of the pack, on board with the number 8 machine. Once again, that's Jeff Fleming as they negotiate this very fast chicane. Has been opened up since the first time we saw the Runoffs at Topeka, but look at the lead that Black has established in the early lap.
Wasting absolutely no time on board with Fleming. One of the things for Black, obviously, he's got a ton of track time relative to a lot of these other guys, too. That's got to help.
Well, it gets you in your rather quickly. Oh, problems early for the 76 machine. That's Mike CYPHERT. This is a disaster. He's one of the favorites coming in here.
Easily. A 2-time champ, CYPHERT is.
Qualified 3rd. We talked about those cold tires. Maybe he took a bump or just went for a ride, and now he's off in that wet grass. Let's take a replay here. Oh, he just gets it wrong. He gets down inside the apex there. I'm not sure if something went wrong with the race car. It's very bizarre there. He suddenly had the left front over the curb and in the grass, and that just picked up grip and turned him around.
I wonder if maybe the back stepped out and then it caught and it charged him over that curb, and that was it. Now, because of how damp the grass is here on this cool morning, he had to back it away now to get a flatter run at it, so he's losing a tremendous amount of time right now. There's a look at the number 98 of Pete Peterson, 6-time champion in this category. And when you win a gold, you don't even have to race in your division that next year. You get an automatic entry if you're the defending champ. And so he's concentrated, Cal, as I understand it, pretty much on just developing this car. Hasn't done a lot of racing.
Well, that's ideal because you can go out and just do the odd race here and there, do a bit more testing and keep the car in the shop and get it dialed in. But here we see the battle now with the 75. This is Milton Grant.
And number 8 Fleming has gone around. You see that red car behind. The second one on your screen is Robert Warkocki, and Fleming was able to just sneak by him, and now he's chasing down Grant. And with CYPHERT having dropped out of the order at this stage, that now becomes the battle for the 5th spot, Milton Grant. And we look back from Fleming now. That is Rob Warkocki in that Mazda-powered RX-7 sitting in the 7th spot.
Well, he's undefeated in his division in 08 Warkocki, so he certainly has a very fast race car, set a new track record at Road America. But he's had 14 starts here and never seen a podium. He's been very unlucky. He had DNFs in the last couple of races here at the Runoffs. He's looking for better today.
Along with winning his division, as you mentioned, undefeated. One of those wins was the June Sprint, so he has a triple crown candidate. And look at this beautiful move as he dives right back by. Fleming picks that spot up. We hop on board Fleming, and now he is looking at the back of Rob Warkocki's entry. That's the M-Core Mazda RX-7. He's picked up a spot, and was that black? That is.
That's
the
our
leader.
leader.
Pole sitter struggling. Something has gone wrong.
Wow. Justin talked about the fact he had a DNF in the spec race at Ford race, picked up a silver medal yesterday, and now our pole sitter, an early leader, has got some kind of mechanical issue.
And he was so brilliant to watch, folks. If you saw that GT2 race, throwing that car around, trying to carry speed, big slides and the like. So our new leader, the gentleman who qualified second, is Steven Spires in the number 91. That's the St. Clair Data Systems Nissan 200SX. A little bit older car for this category, running the 200SX bodywork and tube frame underneath it, but clearly, Cal, it's pretty effective.
It is really effective, but think about this. Steve Spires, I mean, he has the lead right now. I mean, I know he wanted to win the gold medal, but now he's got 2 of the veterans out there behind him to put the pressure on him. He's got 16 more laps here to really try and just keep his focus, keep his concentration, and not make any mistakes.
And that man right there, the number 13 of Wolfgang Maki in the Red Line Oil Toyota, he was the champion in the Southern Pacific Division this year, the South Pacific Division. And talk about a guy who's motivated for gold. 3 times he's been a silver medalist, and he has a bronze as well. So 4 times on the podium, never the gold. He wants this so bad, and he is one of the truly fun characters in the paddock as well. And then, as you pointed out behind him, that guy who's only won 6 golds.
Yeah, he's just getting warmed up this morning. I mean, Pete loves his racing, has a lot of fun doing it, and he's very serious when he gets behind the wheel. That car looks beautiful, and if it doesn't win this year, watch out for it next year. A lot of potential.
And there's a sad sight. The number 17, the pole sitter, John Black, parked. The wheel is off. He'll be getting out. We'll be right back.
One of the biggest challenges facing any race series organizer is how to achieve parity in the individual races when multi-cars are involved. This is a great example. 3 different cars here in the same race. Mr. Weaver's Mazda here, it actually has a smaller engine, therefore they give him a lighter weight to run with. Nice advantage. Then in the middle, we get Mr. Allen's car that is older technology, same sort of horsepower, but actually is running at quite a weight disadvantage. Then we get over to Milton's car, which actually his Toyota has the best of both worlds. Actually got a nice big engine, but has quite a lot of weight to carry. Now the whole thing with this is it's really an equation between the weight of a car and the horsepower that it delivers. And so when I asked the drivers who has the advantage, they all went, he does. Figures, doesn't it? Racing drivers.
Yeah, no matter what option you've got, you always think the other guy's got an advantage via the rules, don't you?
I always wanted big horsepower and lightweight, lots of aero, lots of stick, and low drag.
So you wanted everything of everything.
And speaking of everything, I think the man out front is getting everything he needs and more in terms of pressure. Look at Maki, he has really closed that gap. And we talked about Spires. Could he keep that lead and withstand the pressure? Right now, the pressure is on him.
Yeah, this is going to be a great battle, and Peterson lurking back there. Meanwhile, just a sad story, Biz.
Very sad story down here. John Black, you qualified on the pole, led the first lap, great start, and now here you are in the pit lane. This is not where you want to be.
No, it's not. I guess it just wasn't meant to be. You know, we put the car into GT2 last night actually at 5:30, and just ran the heck out of it trying to keep up with Jim Godfrey and his Nissan, and I think I just wore the car out. It's just, you know, these cars aren't meant to run that hard for so many races and stuff, so, and I just didn't realize it.
What exactly went go?
I think I broke a half shaft in the rear end, or either the whole rear end blew up on it.
Okay, John, we'll see you back here next year. I'll tell you guys, in multiple events, these cars take a real beating.
Well, and again, we talked about how he was throwing that car around yesterday, running curves and throwing the slides around, and that does just put a tremendous load on that drivetrain, and it took its toll. And he's absolutely right. You know, SCCA racing is not endurance racing; it's sprint racing. These cars are set up to do maybe 45 minutes tops, generally, Cal. And you start doing that back to back like he did, makes it tough.
Well, it's a quick turnaround. I'm sure they do maintenance between events, but he just finished late yesterday afternoon, the first race of the day, so maybe have his last race of the weekend would have been on Sunday. He may have had a chance to go through the car in a bit more detail.
Just taking a look, the last lap times, folks, from the top 3 drivers here in the medal positions, the quickest was that guy in 3rd, Pete Peterson, and that carbon fiber, number 98. So he is starting, you can see he is starting to visibly reel him in a little bit. Oh, the 0-3, huge plume of smoke from 0-3, Rob Weaver out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, in the Continental Cars RX3. He was 4th in this class in 1993. He's been coming here a long time, and this is not how he wanted this one to end.
Something doesn't look right with that race car, that is for sure. But look at this battle which is developing. This is for 4th spot between Milton Grant and Rob Wakocki. And look at the different line through there. Wakocki's really starting to think about where can he make his move. He is hooked up. We saw him make some moves under braking, and his car is handling well also.
Rob, very experienced. This is his 15th runoffs. He's been here a lot, as you pointed out. Look at the line he's able to get. Boy, that car sticks, doesn't it?
He's got so much grip. Phenomenal. Let's see how the horsepower. There's a lot of dyno run down this front straightaway. Runs parallel to the drag strip here at Heartland Park, as you see over to the right side of the drivers.
That was pretty impressive to be able to hold that tight a line through that last turn and still get the run with the top end down that straight.
It really was, and that's a good combination to have. Good stick through the corners and good horsepower. I like that. But look at this. Milton Grant has not given up easy. He had a look down into turn 1 when Wakocki hit the brakes, and he's having another look here. He's really using that right front tire there. I'm not sure if it's tire rub on the fender, but he's really loading it up there through turn 3, the carousel. Wakocki gets a little bit wide there, so early going. It's an 18-lap race. You've certainly got to pace yourself and not burn these tires up too early.
Grant's Courtyard by Marriott Toyota Celica is tremendous experience, as we talked about, 29th runoffs. Now, here you see, there's your leader, Spires. But the official margin last time by less than half a second to Mackey, and now Peterson. That last lap, Cal, he took almost a second off of those guys, and look where he is. We are covered by the proverbial blanket here in GT3 as Peterson has closed up a 3-car battle for the gold here at Heartland Park, Topeka in GT3 5. Now coming up on 6 of 18 laps complete. Having a very solid run, as is Jeff Fleming, our camera car, number 8 in a solid 6th. GT3 is under contest for their national championship in 2008 at this 45th running of SCCA's National Championship Runoffs. Its 3rd year at Heartland Park, Topeka. And man, do we have a good race unfolding on the track in this category. Grand Touring 3, purpose-built race cars, highly modified cars. You got a nice mix and match of what you want to run, but in the end, when it all comes together, that's what you get right there. And look at Pete Peterson, Cal. He is all over the back of Wolfgang Mackey. These two guys have been racing Toyotas out of the same tent. That's one of the cool things here at the runoffs is you get all of these cars as we take a look at Jeff Fleming in that 6th spot. Boy, he's got working some traffic. Wow.
Look at that. These boys give it their all. Great action there as you come off turn 6, trying to get the power down for this long run down towards Wood. I call it chicane, but it's really just a fast S now as they've certainly relieved the entrance to this. But look at the battle up front. Pete Peterson looks really smooth in that 98 machine and has really closed on to the gearbox of these boys in front of him.
And Wolfgang Mackey not giving it up. He is starting to close up a little bit on Spires. Justin, as a matter of fact, look for a minute like you might take a look at it. Didn't quite pull it off. So Justin Bell right now, Mackey settling back in.
Well, settling back in actually is his MO for this race. Just spoke with his crew chief, who said they're very confident, being a couple of £100 lighter than the car in front, that they just have to apply pressure but not burn up their own tires, because they think that his tires are going to degrade in front, and the race won't come to them. It won't be easy, but they're going to be able to at least maintain that pressure and look for the opportunity to pass. And I guess you guys are seeing that right now.
Exactly. I mean, he took a little bit of a run. He's checked up. But the problem for Wolfgang right now is Peterson behind him. And if Wolfgang lays back and conserves a little bit too much, Peterson's going to be there. And again, Peterson running a car that is much heavier than Maki's at this point, but he's got that big motor, Cal.
He does. This is where it should come on strong there through the middle part of that straightaway. Once they've started accelerating, the horsepower comes in, but it looks pretty even. So Pete Peterson has a lot more weight on board that car than does Maki. And you can see it there a little bit through the chicane. Maki's able to carry a little bit more mid-corner speed because of that lighter weight, I would imagine.
And Biz Peterson, of course, you've got to accelerate that heavier weight, and that makes it a little bit sluggish sometimes.
Well, Charlie Mulvaney is the crew chief for Pete Peterson. Where did you find this speed? You qualified midfield, and now you're pushing for the lead.
We had some difficulties during qualifying and were unable to complete a really good hot lap. Rained out during one session and an electrical problem during our best opportunity. Pete is becoming accustomed to this new car. It's a heavier chassis. We have 3 different engines, 3 different curb weights running very close together. So he's just becoming accustomed to this new car.
I think he's coming very accustomed to it, guys.
Well, we have seen Pete over the course of the years, Cal. He has, last year, a classic example, had that early contact, lost virtually all of his brakes, was able to adjust, come through the field. That's something this guy does incredibly well.
Well, he's won 6 national championships. He knows how to get the job done. He realized we're just halfway through this event. He doesn't want to push too hard. He's got to keep some car underneath him with that extra weight. He's got to look after his tires right now.
So the top 3 remain covered by the blanket in the battle for the gold. Good battles elsewhere. Rob Warkaki currently sits in the 4th spot, and Jeff Fleming in the Interstate Wire Company Nissan 350Z right there in the top 6. We're back at Heartland Park, Topeka. A little look back at what's unfolded in GT3. We get the onboard look from Jeff Fleming at the green as it flies. Pole sitter John Black, who was a second clear of the field in qualifying, showed that right away. Fleming right in the mix of all the action heading down into turn 1. Look at that, 2-3 abreast in spots. Black wasted no time, started to open up, but one of the favorites, Mike CYPHERT, Cal, big moment.
There was. It looked like he may have got loose, tried to correct it, got the inside left over on the grass, and that pitched him around.
And then our pole sitter and runaway leader at that point, the 17 of John Black. Problems, something in the drive line, and he said, I think I may have used it up too much in the GT2 race that he ran previously. So he's parked and watching, and again, Maki gets a little bit of a run, shows the nose, but Spires just turns down, so that Nissan keeping those 2 Toyotas at bay through 1, through 2, and onto the short chute there. Meanwhile, we go on board again with Jeff Fleming, and right behind him is the number 79. That's Paul Young and the Hoosier Ford Probe that is having a very solid run, and right behind them is the 27 of Jim Valdez. That's the car that Biz talked about up top, the lone BMW.
Well, there's someone else from Colorado who still has one of those old BMWs other than John Pisignano. And that's Jim Valdez. He's doing a great job out there today, currently running down in 8th spot with that nicely colored BMW that we see in the background there. So these guys are having to go. Oh, look at the speed that BMW carries through the chicane. Can he make a move down into the carousel?
It looks good, and of course BMW is generally pretty good on the brakes, and he was able to slot right in and is closing up on Fleming right now. So Valdez driving the race of his life. He was 8th in this class last year, but boy, has he got that bimmer hooked up.
Oh, he
touches him, loosens Fleming up.
Wow, he certainly did. He was a man on a mission there. It's like suddenly he found acre of speed and just was totally committed there. Got on the brakes very late, was caught out by where Jeff Fleming's braking point was, touched him in the back, almost turned him around. Fleming continues, however.
Fleming, it looked like Fleming picked up a marker cone as well. It's jammed under the front splitter. That doesn't help things. But yeah, I don't think Valdez expected Fleming to brake quite that soon.
No, he's suddenly on fire here. That BMW is handling superbly as Fleming now recovers.
He clears the cone. That's important. Take another look at it.
Well, he just carries a lot of speed here through turn 4, and as they get on the brakes for 5, man, he was certainly using a different braking point to Fleming in front of him. Here we see it again. Watch the rub here. Suddenly darted to the inside and probably didn't use any brakes. He was about to go to the brake pedal and just used all steering to avoid the collision rather than hitting the brakes. And this is on board with Fleming. Look at the look in his eyes with Jim Valdez there. A man on a mission. Whoa!
It almost looks to me, Cal, like he was making the move for the pass right as Fleming went to the brake and just misjudged it. And look what we have here, a battle for second. Peterson has nosed ahead now of Maki. Maki gonna try and keep it down the inside. Can't quite get it done. Peterson forced him to tighten that radius up, and Maki lost a little bit of exit speed, and Peterson got a run.
He does have a run, and he was very smart there. He gave Maki plenty of room in case Maki couldn't get slowed down there at the apex of turn 6 and kept it nice and safe. So Pete Peterson is really driving a smart race here, I believe, as we are on lap 11. We've got a handful of laps to go here.
Now, Cal, one thing I'm noticing, look at the front splitter on Peterson's car. There's a lot of vibration in that, and it keeps tapping the ground, and that is actually not what you want to see happen.
Now, you got to be careful. You don't want to be wearing that away. So one of the things they'll be look like, had a bit of understeer going through that corner as well. You saw a lot of steering input. You could see it at the wheel on the front. So he may be struggling a little bit, and off that corner, now it turns into oversteer. Sometimes you've got big understeer and suddenly it picks up that front grip, it turns into a snap oversteer. So he's got to control that traction coming on this long front straightaway to get the run he's looking for.
Oh, and he has got a run. He looks to the outside. Doesn't look like he's going to get it done right there, or does he? Woo, forced the issue, and I think Spires
he's
said,
wide,
oh.
He's in the dirt. Can Maki respond here? Here he comes. Maki gets a much better run through that chicane.
See if he can stove it down deep on the brakes on the inside. He's inside, but not quite enough. Peterson shuts the door, but that allows Spires in the Nissan to get himself a bit of breathing room, which I'm sure he's going to be very happy about. So that battle for the 3 medals continues up front. Great action, and Paul Young now trying to come back. Welcome back to Heartland Park, Topeka, GT3, and we have got a superb race unfolding in this battle for the national championship, not only for the 3 medals up front, but deeper in the pack as well. Some great stuff here in the Grand Touring 3 category. Spires in the Nissan leads it. The red number 91 having a very solid run in that St. Clair Data Systems entry, but the 98 of Pete Peterson in the Valvoline Toyota CELICA, a car that is being developed almost literally as this week has unfolded. They seem to have hit it at about the right time, but Wolfgang Maki right there in the Redline Oil Toyota Paseo. This is a great race, Cal.
It really is, and Spires is certainly pushing hard. You see him get a little bit loose. Look at Peterson trying to get the power down early for that run. I don't think you can make a move around the outside. It's a risky move at best, and you get off in the dirt like Pete did last time. I think you've got to time it, and when you get through this kink, see, he's going to the left early. I think you need to switch back to the inside, almost where Spires is running there and taking that apex away. Very smart driving by Spires in terms of his line down that straightaway when you hit the kinks.
And behind these two, as Maki turned into turn 1, he carried a big flat slide as well. So he's driving as hard as he can with these guys to try and stay with them at this point. This battle at the front. Now look at Pete, squares it up, tries to make something happen, but Spires just driving very, very smooth lines, hitting all his marks, and we've got traffic. Oh boy, this is where horsepower can sometimes play the big difference. They're looking at those corner workers throwing those yellows.
Spires dives down the inside. That was close there with the traffic. They get out of the way nicely. Maki is balked just a little bit by the 45 car. That's Ken Nelson.
Ken, I mean, you can't just hit the disappear button. Now, horsepower. Peterson looking to the inside, heading into the chicane. Spires.
He's lit the torch there. I don't think he was showing his true hand, Greg, because we didn't see that speed from Peterson at that stage of the straightaway in the earlier laps. I think he was just barely snookering these guys.
That may very well be. Pete is nothing if not certainly crafty, along with very skilled, and he may have, as you said, just not wanted to show his hand too early.
Well, he's got that big motor, and I was surprised that the margin between he and Maki down the straightaways was staying the same, but that particular lap, it's like he put the afterburners on.
So Spires in the red Nissan drops to second. Now Maki, as we talked about, number of silvers and bronzes, but never the gold. There's Pete Peterson's crew. They're liking this turn of events without question.
Well, they had a sense of confidence about them all week long. When I spoke to the guys, they said, yeah, we're fine. We don't really mind. We had an electrical issue. missed our best shot in qualifying, but here's the pass. Look how he just pulls alongside Spires and takes that position. It wasn't even a fight there. You can see a couple of car length difference, and here you see it from a different angle.
Boy, he just out-deeped him into that chicane, and with all that extra weight, that's pretty impressive. But, you know, one of the things here, Cal, in qualifying as well, you're out there, you're throwing down a couple of flyers, and then you pit and everything. Now you're in it for lap after lap after lap, and that's where Pete Peterson can read the car and say, here's what's good, this is what I'm going to use. And boy, has he, it's been a very strong run. Here's your top 5.
When Bruce Wolf is not at a race, he's doing his second favorite thing in life, making coffee back in Ohio. It's called Buzz Through Coffee. Bruce, I've got to ask you, how did you find this great love between racing and coffee?
Well, they go together, actually. If you're properly caffeinated, you can go faster in a race car.
Well, this is quite a van here, and I've heard reports that this van, properly towed, can make about 85, 90 miles an hour down the highway. Is that true?
That is absolutely true. We run on a few coffee beans in that gas tank as well.
Okay, so when it comes to serving here, how does someone order a coffee? What's a large, what's a small? Do you do that grande thing and all that?
2 liters a large and a 1600 Cortinas a small.
Okay, Bruce, thank you for serving us and everyone else here at the championships.
Thank you and everybody at Heartland Park and all the racers. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I tell you what, you get down in that paddock area, and especially a chilly morning like this, the lines around that Buzz-Through's espresso bar are huge. Very popular stop. And you know, I was talking a little bit earlier about Peterson and Maki running Toyotas. They've been running Toyotas together for a long time. Well, there's a guy that really has helped make that happen in many ways, and I think Justin Bell's found him.
Well, I didn't expect to see Les Unger, National Motorsports Manager, here on bright and early on a Kansas morning. Les, it shows the depth of your support, I guess.
Well, we've been involved supporting SCCA and grassroots racing since the early 80s. We think it's, fabulous to be able to support, grassroots racing throughout the United States. We've got a lot of very, very dedicated competitors. I think this year we have something like 21, 22 that have made the trek out here to Heartland Park, and given the economic climate, I think that says a lot about the dedication and fortitude of these guys, and it's the least we can do to come out and show our support. We're just tickled to death for them. We've got a very exciting GT3 race that's winding down here right now, and hopefully one of our guys can capture another national championship.
Yeah, I think Peterson's quite a crafty driver by record.
Well, not only is he a crafty driver, he also happens to be a Toyota dealer from Lumberton, North Carolina, so it'd be a double coup for us if he were able to pull it off. He's done it before. We'll see what happens.
Perfect. Well, that wasn't any form of commercial. Back to you guys.
Boy, that was the definitive that is the definitive example of race on the weekend and sell on the weekday, especially when you're dealing those cars. And that's one of the things here. When you come to the paddock, you look around, the manufacturers, you think, okay, this is amateur racing, but the manufacturers have a stake in it. And you look around, there are massive tents in the paddock that they are set up as sort of portable garages, and under one it's all Toyotas, and they all work together once they get here. They may race each other furiously all season long in division and when the race unfolds here, but otherwise they are working together in those tents, and all the manufacturers have them that are involved. It's pretty special, and Toyota has been, I think, one of the absolute top-notch over the years. It's been amazing.
Absolutely,
oh,
and Les Unger, we're seeing some pressure here from another one of those Toyotas that Les is supporting, but it's great to see Les here. I mean, he understands the grassroots as well as the pro ranks and has had so many successful campaigns.
Spires just really pushed wide there, Cal, and gave Mackey an opportunity, but he's wrong side now into this crucial turn 6.
And all this time, Pete Peterson is just cruising away here in the lead. Look at the lead that he has now established over these two guys, and that will allow him to pace these last few laps as he looks for another goal today.
Well, every time these guys run side by side and let somebody else ease away, and Peterson has done exactly that. We are back, working lap 16 of 18, and Wolfgang Maki, big dive to the inside. Oh, Spires
gets it wrong. I think he was looking in his mirrors, locked up the brakes on the dirty part of the racetrack. These guys have a big lead over Wakaki, who's currently 4th, so Spires may hang on here for a podium finish, but he saw Maki down the inside, just lost his turning point a little bit, and on the dirty part of the racetrack.
That was a great move by Wolfgang, just a very decisive move. Obviously caught Spires by surprise. I believe that was down into the very quick turn 10-11 complex.
It was. Maki goes through, no problems there. Pete Peterson, big lead, almost 4 seconds now. He'll just try and cruise this through the last couple of laps.
Tell you what, folks, you can take a look at Peterson's car up close. All that bodywork is pure carbon fiber, no paint, no weight, just the decals. Running that extra weight because of that bigger motor. They think of everything. Here's another look at Wolfgang's move.
Markey dives to the inside, and then suddenly you could see Spires went to turn in, saw that Markey was there, turned out, was on the dirty stuff, locked up the brakes, realized he's way too wide, and turned it around. Let's take another look at it here. You can see the speed. He just loses that turning point. No grip out there. Goes for a ride. Fortunately, no contact with the barrier. He continues and can maybe hold on for that bronze medal.
And there he is, and he did indeed at least hold on to third at this point. They had, as you pointed out, opened up a pretty good lead over Warkaki, Grant, and the rest of the field back fourth on down. So he's hanging in there in the Nissan, but that one, you know, that's going to upset him, obviously. He had such a good run going and had driven really a beautiful race.
Fantastic. He'll have learned a lot here today. He finished fourth last year. He's still looking good for a podium finish, but he will learn from these guys who have so much more experience. Very impressed with Steve Spires' drive here today.
And you always are impressed with Pete Peterson when he's out there driving. Oh, and Warkaki has gone around. Now we'll see. This, I think, is that's the lap car. That is the Daytona. So I don't think Warkaki. Did he lose a spot to Grant?
Well, Milton Grant was really close to him.
There is Milton.
Yeah, so he should have lost that spot. So I'm not sure if he was feeling the pressure. They were within a second of one another. We'll see the replay here to see exactly what happens. No, he's just by himself and loses it under braking there for turn 6. And again, we talk about the tires. He was really charging hard in the early going and just had like too much rear brake bias. Didn't have the rear grip he was looking for as he turned into the corner.
So he's gathered it back up once again, but lost a spot and a lot of distance track-wise here. As Pete Peterson now working his way around on his final lap, going for a 7th gold medal. What a remarkable story. He's also running a GT Light. His old car is going to be running in the GT Light race later on, so he's a busy boy here this weekend, but I think this car is his baby. And there's that, again, that little bit of wobble, and every time that taps the ground, doesn't it then dump the air off the nose?
It does. It porpoises the front end, so when it touches it, then releases the downforce up and down. So they'll work on that. Those are the things that they have to work out. Every racetrack is different in terms of the bumpiness of the racetrack, your suspension package, your shock package, all have to be dialed in to make that fully effective.
Just get a glimpse of Mackey there, and that looks like another silver for Wolfgang. He's going to enjoy that, certainly. Anytime you finish on the podium in the national championships, you've done well. But, boy, another silver for him. It'll be his 4th. A little bit of frustration tinge there as well, I would think.
He's got to hate this guy, Pete Peterson.
Man.
I mean, he'd have a handful of gold medals if it wasn't for Pete.
That is a fact. Most of those silvers have come right behind this man. And he's onto the front straight. Checker flags flying. Pete Peterson. What a run. Comes from back in the pack after problems in qualifying and developing that number 98, but did it come good? A 7th gold medal for the man from Lumberton, North Carolina, Pete Peterson. This is a man who knows how to barbecue as well. If you've ever been invited to the paddock here for a meal at Pete's, that's nice. Now, here's this good battle. 27 Valdez and that BMW in the 79, the probe of Paul Young. This is a good battle for the 6th spot. After Valdez got into the back of Fleming, he just dropped off the map, so I don't know if he got a little bit of damage in that, but look at this. Young is not giving up yet. He's only got a couple of corners to get this done. Boy, that BMW, though, once they get into the twisty stuff, he just opens it up. That car is sticking really well.
Hooked up as a great run from this guy. Started 10th. Up to 6th, so Jim Valdez had a great runoffs here this year.
The only concern you might have for Valdez is with that contact, if that position will hold. But he certainly has driven a beautiful race, except for that one moment. And at least now he brings it home in 6th spot. Nice job. And then right behind him is Paul Young. Nice run to 7th. And on the onboard shot, here comes again Jeff Fleming, number 8, will finish in 8th, where he qualified. Guess that was meant to be in a way, and I'm sure he'll be a little bit frustrated after getting that tap and getting looped. So certainly gave us some great onboard looks as this race is unfolded. Now let's get right down though to John Bizignano with our winners crew.
Charlie, congratulations. A lot of work and it paid off for you. I got to ask you, the way he dominated after he got by, was he holding back there in the first stages of the race?
No, absolutely not. I believe that Pete is just an exceptional driver, no doubt. I think much of our victory is lady luck. If you look at some of the issues that occurred to our competitors, I think some of it's just lady luck. Obviously, Pete's incredible driving skill.
Hey, look, the harder you work, the more luck you have. And every time that car went by, you were just waiting for that engine to pop. You were really nervous that the ignition problems were going to return.
Well, you know, you're always nervous. We've put a lot of work into it. Don Preston Racing, Scott McLaren, the rest of the fellows behind me have put an incredible amount of effort into this car. It's a new chassis. You're always a little concerned.
Congratulations again. All right, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's the driver that sometimes gets all the accolades, but the crews are the ones that put in immense hours building these cars and getting them ready. And same for Jeff Fleming here, and he gets an 8th. Welcome back to Heartland Park, Topeka, the national championship. The gold medal for Grand Touring 3 has been decided. Here are your top 3, and Pete Peterson, Wolfgang Maki, and Steven Spires will end up with the medals. And Peterson's crew has talked with Biz. Time for the winner. John?
Pete, congratulations on your 7th championship, your 7th gold medal. But I'll tell you, that pass for the lead was not easy.
None of them were. It was everybody was fast up front, and that those little motors were mighty tough at the weight they get to run at, and I had a good handling car. The Toyota Celica did like it was supposed to. The Goodyear tires did what they were supposed to. Don Preston built me a good car and a good motor, and thanks to Toyota for all their help.
Now, was Don Preston in the car the whole time? I mean, I think this is definitely a weight disadvantage.
He was. We built the car light, thinking we might go back with the other motor, so we have to carry 300 pounds of ballast. So we got Don here.
It's a lot of extra downforce. Where's your seatbelt, Don?
I don't think I have one.
Doesn't need one.
The way you're in there, you don't need one, mate. I hate to tell you.
I got my butt in the cooler.
Well, with that, I think I'll pass it along to Justin in second place.
Well, I'm here with Wolfgang Mikey. Wolfgang, apparently you've been in this position 1 or 2 times before.
Maybe like 4.
That's 4 too many by the look on your eyes.
Yes, it is. But it was a good race. We had a good time and really enjoyed the race coming to the SCCA Runoffs. It's always a pleasure and privilege to be here.
But there's a little spin at one point during the race. Did that throw you off?
No, not at all. The guy, if you're referring to the red Nissan, he just took his braking mark and went off.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, as you could see, when Peterson got into his stride in the end, you just thought it's better to... I mean, you couldn't push any harder.
That's all it is. Yeah. Pete runs at 2.4, and I run that little 1.6. So I think we're going to have to do a little bit more massage work on this 1.6 to make it a little more competitive. But Pete ran a good race, clean, fantastic.
Well, I'm sure you're going to see some physical therapy going on in this car between now and next year. Back to you in the booth.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's one of the things that we saw, Justin, as the race unfolded and got later into it. Wolfgang was carrying slides everywhere. As he said, he gave it everything. You could see how hard he had clearly been working. And, you know, it may just be 18 laps, but these guys, you have to drive incredibly hard to get through this. Now, here are our full field unofficial results. You take a look. Some of the names, obviously, Fleming. The camera car there was a bit better placed until he got a little nudge from Valdez, and that was an issue there. We go back a little bit further, and there's a couple of big stories. Mike CYPHERT, a multiple gold medalist, had problems with that spin. Something broke, and John Black, obviously, we know something broke there, and he pulled in and pitted. So problems there. It was an unfortunate day for a couple of the serious contenders at this point. But a guy who put in a tremendous drive to the bronze is with Biz.
Well, leading the first 2/3 of this race, but you had a bit of a moment out there, a couple of them actually.
Yeah. Pete got by me. I just made a bad move around a back marker, and then Wolfgang got a good run on me going out of the bus stop and into turn 10, and I just simply missed my brake zone. So I just drove straight off, came back around, got going again, but Wolfgang did a good job. He kept me honest all day. Real tough competitor.
Well, you brought the car home safe. Congratulations on a great bronze medal.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, save for that one moment. I mean, he really did drive a brilliant race, obviously with a little bit of pressure. And there's Don Preston. I'll tell you, the reason that Don is in that car, he is the driving force behind this Toyota program. He builds chassis, he builds motors. The guy is an absolute genius when it comes to this type of racing, as well as open wheel stuff.
He's been a big factor in 7 of Pete's championships now that the number is now out. So certainly a great race here today. Battles throughout the field, Greg. Awesome to watch.
It was indeed, and obviously there was some heartbreak for a few of the guys, but there were medals for the top three. An absolutely great race, and for Pete Peterson, a 7th gold medal. Congratulations to Pete, to Wolfgang, and to Steven Spires. For Cal and Biz and Justin, it's been a treat. Lots more to come on Speed at the Runoffs.